Tolerable acts. Intolerable means too much to handle. What do you think is intolerable? In 1774, the British passed the Coercive Acts. The Americans preferred to call these acts the Intolerable Acts. The colonists thought these laws were too much to handle. The acts included the Boston Port Act, closed all ports until the Americans paid back the money they wasted when they dumped the tea into the Boston harbor. This hurts Boston's economy. Massachusetts Government Act. A town could only meet with permission from the governor. This meant that the citizens of Boston and other cities couldn't rule themselves. Also, it meant that all government officials had to be British. Administration of Justice Act. British officials charged with crimes could be sent to England for trial. The colonists thought this meant that British might be able to get away with murder. The Quartering Act forced colonists to open their homes to host soldiers. The Quebec Act, adding land and gave more freedom to Canada. The Cause. The Intolerable Acts did not cause the first fight between the British and the colonists. Before this was the British had taxed the colonists through the Tea Acts and Townsend's Acts. The British thought the colonists owed them for offering protection during the French and Indian War. When the colonists responded to the taxation by destroying almost $1 million worth of tea, the British were furious. They wanted to punish the colonists and stop their rebellious behavior. The British demanded that the colonists pay back their debts. Most importantly, the British hoped that the Coercive Acts would cut the Boston colonists off from other colonies and keep them from joining together for a united rebellion. The British expected the other colonies to leave the Bostonians on their own. Colonist response. Before the Intolerable Acts, the colonists supported themselves individually. They didn't work together, but the colonists around Massachusetts felt sorry for them because of the Intolerable Acts. Virginia called a meeting of all colonies that led to the First Continental Congress. In September 1773, 12 colonies got together to form committees of correspondence. This group talked about and came up with the ideas to solve the British problem. During the first meeting, Congress decided to boycott all trade with the British and send a petition to the king. To prepare for the king's response, the Congress warned the colonists to arm themselves. The Continental Congress agreed to meet again in May of the next year. Little did they know that a war would be happening before then. War brewing. As a safety measure, Massachusetts organized a militia, the Minutemen. The Minutemen started storing military supplies at Concord. The British learned about the reserve and planned to act. But two heroes came to the rescue. Paul Revere and William Downes rode through the night to warn the colonists. The Minutemen gathered at Lexington and Concord, not knowing that it would become one of the first famous battles in history.